Well, hi, my name is Lee and I'm the founder of High Performance Coaching and Training. And today I'm going to share with you some of my insights around this personality type called the tank. Now the tank, they're very aggressive, they're very dominating, but they just want things done. And I remember the very, very first time that I had met the tank. You see, I was given an opportunity to work for a company as a remote worker, and I was working with some business owners and helping them to understand business skills along with mentoring them along the way as well. So I was working remotely, and I had joined up with them for a 6-month contract, and I was in an office, like a co-sharing space. So there was a manager of the office who overlooked the offices, all the co-workers within that hub along the way as well. So what had happened was my mentor had came down from Toowoomba. My mentor was with me. My mentor virtually was saying to me, that, like at times you've got to check in to make sure that, and check with me to make sure that the desk that you're using is the right one, because sometimes you may be allocated a different desk to work from each day, because we've actually got an agreement with the office manager that that you're based on a hot seat along the way as well. So that was fine. So the second day I come in, and of course I couldn't see my mentor there, but I saw the office manager was there, and I walked in the office. And I'm the type of person, I just can't walk into an office and not acknowledge people who are actually there along the way as well. So as I walked in the office, I saw the office manager, and I thought, what a great opportunity to go and introduce myself to the office manager. So I went up to her and I was friendly, I was excited, my second day at this project, and I wanted to make an impact, and I'm the type of person that I've got very good work ethic, and I was really excited being there. So I introduced myself, and during that conversation then I said to her, I was asking her, do you want me to go back to where I was sitting yesterday, or do you want me to sit somewhere different today along the world? Then all of a sudden, around the corner, I hear the rumbling and the tank arrives. The door swung open and Melissa yells out to me, "Lee, come into my office right this very moment." And I looked around and I was completely shell-shocked. I didn't know what to say. And I looked around and I saw everyone in the office, they almost stopped breathing. It was almost everyone just froze, and they were ducking for cover as the tank was screaming this out from the office along the way as well. And of course, I'm completely, all of a sudden, I've gone from being a motivated person, really inspired, to feel, oh my heavens, what's going on here? What's going on? I felt so humiliated, and I felt so violated along the way as well. So I go into the office, and then I'm told with no uncertain terms that I was not to speak to the office manager. All communication was to go through her. How dare I override her authority, and I should just know my place, and if I wasn't happy, then maybe this job wasn't right for me. So she blasted me, full barrel, straight frontal attack, and then she moved away just as quickly as well. It took me a few minutes to regain back what had happened, and it was just showed straight away. It just showed me how people, like, the tank is so controlling. The tank is so controlling that, to me, I understood what was underneath it, and that was the control and all the status of the importance of communication must go through me as well. So let's just talk about some signs of the tank. So the tank, there are signs that the tank's actually showing you, and the tank is, they're aggressive, they're impatient, they want to communicate their message, they're not really interested in listening from your point of view, they just want to communicate their message, and they fire at you straight away, and then they back away just as quickly as well. So it's interesting when you're confronted with the tank, because it can be quite frightening at first, and sometimes you can be a victim of the battle, lying on the battlefield, not knowing what's going on along the way as well. Now, there's 3 approaches that you can do when you're confronted with the tank. The very first approach is you can counterattack. You can counterattack. So you can become a tank yourself as well. Aggression meeting with aggression. Both of you are firing, ready, aim, fire. You're firing, and both of you are going to become tanks. And of course, that's not going to create any peace at all. That's going to create the person who's the strongest, the person who's most aggressive. Maybe the person who has the more power is the person who is going to win. Win the battle. But if you do win the battle, then you may even win the war. You may even lose the war, because often the tank will go away and the tank will rally the troops around them that are too scared to, I suppose, go against their point of view. They'll rally them around you, and then later you'll actually lose the war as well. So don't become a tank yourself. Don't become a tank working with a tank. The second option you've got is you can defend yourself. Now, defend and justify your position. Now, you remember the tank is not interested in your point of view. The tank at this stage is not interested in your position. And have you ever experienced a time where, you hear people make excuses over and over and over again, and it becomes very infuriating as well? So when you're trying to justify yourself or defend your position, what you're actually doing is throwing more fuel onto the fire, which magnetizes the tank even more. Now, the third option you've got is you can actually hide, and you can say to yourself, please, please, please make me invisible. Please, please protect me, and let's fly under the radar along the way as well. So what's happening here when you're flying under the radar, you're holding all this resentment inside of you. You're holding all this resentment inside of you, and it's going to be like a pressure cooker, and it's going to eventually bubble up, and you're going to explode along the way as well. So internally, you're screaming. You're actually screaming internally, how dare that person talk to me like that? Who the hell do they think they are? But you're not actually having a voice. So when you haven't got a voice and you start to withdraw, then you lose confidence, and then you start to become smaller, smaller, smaller as you do so. So then what do we do? So we make a decision. You know what? We're going to actually approach the tank. We're going to stand up to the tank. And our goal is simply to get the tank to respect us and to communicate with us with a respect. So that's our main goal, is for the tank to respect us and us to respect the tank as well, because the respect is the key of the communication that holds everyone together as well. So you make a decision. I'm going to confront the tank, and I'm going to do things differently, and what are the steps that I need to understand to go through that process. Now, I'm going to talk to you about a 5-step process which works really, really effectively, and I'm going to take you through these steps as well. Obviously, everything that you do is situational, and depending on the situation, as if you want to confront the tank or if it's not that important. But if you want to maintain relationships, and you have to work with the tank on a regular basis, then you need to do something about that along the way as well. For the first step is hold your ground. So hold your ground, that means you're not going to retreat, you're not going to fight, it's not offensive, and it's not defensive, it's just holding your ground. So the first thing you have to do when you hold your ground is you have to keep eye contact. And during that time when you're keeping eye contact, I want you to start thinking a little bit about your breathing. I want you to slow your breathing down, and I want to take your breathing down to your center. Now, your center is about 2 inches below your belly button. So you take your focus down and you start to stand in an assertive stance where you feel really grounded and really centered during the attack. So you need to center yourself first. Once you've centered yourself first and looking in the eyes, then you can start to use some visualization. And what you can visualize is a couple of things that I do. You can choose the way you visualize. So if I've got someone who's a big tank and yelling at me, I may visualize them as a toy wind-up tank running around and around in circles, making all this noise and getting nowhere. So I'm using my visualization to actually put them into almost like a cartoon or something that I'm watching on TV. Or I could use my visualization as though I got some volume controls in front of me, and I'm turning the volume down so I can't hear them anymore. So I can use my visualization. So I'm keeping myself grounded, being centered, breathing is slowed down, and I'm keeping myself grounded, and I'm maintaining eye contact. So that could be all that I need to do, depending on what you want to do next. So you may even just practice that to begin with. Then you go, okay, I'm ready for my next step. I'm ready now to actually start to create my voice and become heard as well. So step 2, first of all, you've got to get the attention of the tank. So you may have to interrupt the tank. So the way that you interrupt the tank is called the broken record approach. Now, the broken record approach could be simply just saying their name. So if my tank's name is John, I just go, John, John, and I keep on interrupting by saying his name, just repeating his name over and over. Now, what might happen is he may start to raise his voice because he's not liking to be interrupted. But it's important for you to understand not to try and be louder than him, not to try to compete with that. Just to say calmly in a calm voice their name. Now, it may take 6 times for you saying his name before he'll stop, but they will stop. They will interrupt. So once you've interrupted them, then you need to go to step 2. So step 2 is called backtracking, or it's called paraphrasing back. So what you're going to do now is you're going to paraphrase back the concerns of the tank. So in my situation, when I talk about the story that I started at the beginning of the video, I could say to the person, I could say, Melissa, I understand your concern of myself talking directly to the office manager, and this is something that the policies and procedures of the organization needs to go through. I completely understand that. So by doing this, by backtracking or paraphrasing back the concern, it demonstrates to the tank that at least I've been listening and at least I understand what they're talking about. So once I've backtracked, then I need to communicate my message. I need to we call it here, aim for the bottom line and fire. So we need to communicate our message once we've got that part going, we understand first. So with the communicating the message, then I could start the message off with the way that I see it is, or from my point of view, it is. So if I'm communicating the message with my example from earlier in the story, I would say the way that I see it is, if you're not around, Melissa, and I need some information or some information on from the office manager, it's going to create a lot of stress, and is also going to create a lot of unproductive work time wasted waiting for me to communicate to you first. So so now I'm actually doing the bottom line. So let's put the backtracking, which is paraphrasing, in with the bottom line. So I communicate the concern, and then I communicate my message. So the concern was, Melissa, I really understand that you want to be the person that communicates all the messaging to the office manager. From my point of view, it's a lot of time that can be wasted on my behalf, and my productivity can decrease, because if you're not available, I have to wait until you are available for me to communicate my message to the office manager. So I've combined the two together. So once I've combined the two together, then I want to go to my next step. And my next step is then moving on to future directing in that conversation. So as to what I want. So what I would like to do, I would like for us to treat each other with respect and to sit down and look at some solutions around this. Okay, so now I'm bringing the 3 together. I've got the first part, obviously, is our paraphrasing or our backtracking. Our second part is communicating our message. And our third part is redirecting the future as to what we want. So let's bring the 3 together for our statement that we would do. So the first one, backtracking. Melissa, I really understand the, the importance of coming through with you, with all the communication to the office manager, as it is our company's procedures to do that. Bottom line, from my point of view, it can be a lot of waste of time and productivity for me, because if you're not available, I can't communicate the message and I have to wait until you are available to get the response that I require, which is important for me to make sure that I meet productivity. Third one was, and I would like to communicate this message. I like to sit down with you, with respecting each other, and look at some solutions that we can actually overcome this issue and this concern of yours. So straight away, I've put it all together. So once you've communicated the message, get excited, because now you've done something different. You've stood up and you've communicated your message, and you've done it in an assertive way. Now you've got to let go of the outcome. Obviously, then if the leader doesn't want to talk to you further with respect about it, you can't control that because you're not in that position, unfortunately. But you have got the power to communicate the message, so you start to be assertive. When you start to do that, then all of a sudden you might start to see things change, because what the tank really likes is assertive people. They don't like people who are whining or make excuses or try to withdraw or try to go into battle with them. They like assertive people. So then what will happen is you'll start to create respect and honour. So you start to create that respect and honour for each other, and you never know, the tank will start to respect you, and then one day they may even start to back you up, because now you're demonstrating a person who will actually respond back to them in an assertive manner. Now, of course, to do that, you need also to understand that it's important for you to practice the conversation that you're going to do. And as I said, you made the first part of, getting confidence in yourself, maybe simply step one of staying centered, seeing the person as a wound up tool or whatever, and not having a voice at the moment. And then as you get confident with that, then start to understanding the backtracking, which paraphrasing, communicating your message, which is aim for the bottom line. And the third one, then is looking at that, directing the future as to what you want as well. Now, there can be times when you're in the wrong. There could be times where you are being unproductive, where you are not doing the right thing, and the tank is justified in their concerns of what's going on in the situation. It doesn't mean that I agree with the way they're communicating their message, but maybe you're underperforming. Now, if you are underperforming and you're not in the right, then there's just three things you've got to do. The first thing is you've got to admit that you're making a mistake. You've got to take ownership of the things that you're not doing. So you've got to admit the things that you're not doing. Take ownership of that and accountability. And the second one, once you've done that, then you've got to state the lessons that you've learned from that experience, the lessons that you've learned and gained from that experience. And the third one, which is really, really crucial, it's really important. It's about what are you going to do differently? What are you going to do differently from now on so that the same situation won't occur again? So once you start doing that, then the track starts to see that you're stepping up, taking ownership, and you're doing it in an assertive way. And who knows, the tank may even start to back you up along the way as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. I have got a boot camp coming up on conflict on demand training. So that information, I'm going to put a link in above the video. That information's available. They run all the time. The conflict boot camps can also be brought into your office as one-day workshops or public workshops along the way as well. And I'll be talking about there's 10 different personality types, and the next one I'll be talking about is the sniper who hides and throws it out at you and tries to catch you off guard. And I'll talk to you again very soon. Take care. Bye.